welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something really crucial for English learners: pronunciation.
That's right.
It often gets pushed aside for grammar or vocab, but honestly, it's key to being understood clearly. Think of this as, well, your path to speaking more confidently with some easy daily steps.
It's so true. Many learners, and understandably so, they focus hard on finding the right words, the correct sentence structure.
Mm-hmm.
But if the pronunciation isn't clear, that carefully crafted message, it can get lost. It's like the delivery system is a bit faulty, even if the package itself is perfect.
That is a brilliant analogy. And it's not just about general understanding, is it? I was reading in our sources about those specific little errors,
Oh, yeah.
like the classic mix-up between, say, beach and, well, another word that sounds very similar.
Right.
A tiny slip. And suddenly, the conversation takes a very different turn. It really shows how much weight these small sounds carry.
Absolutely. And, when you work on pronunciation and it gets clearer, the payoff isn't just avoiding mistakes. It's a direct boost to your confidence. Definitely.
When you know you can say things clearly, you feel more ready, more comfortable jumping into conversations.
And nobody likes having to say the same thing over and over again.
Right. Exactly.
Our sources pointed out that better pronunciation means people ask you to repeat yourself less often. Makes conversations flow so much better, much more efficient.
Yeah, much smoother.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. To give you, and one of the really concrete benefits that came up in the sources was just needing to repeat yourself less. Think about it, conversations just feel more natural, more fluid when people get what you're saying the first time around. Saves time, less frustration on both sides.
Okay, so we've established why this daily focus is so valuable.
Yeah.
Let's get into the weeds a bit. What are some of the typical pronunciation hurdles English learners run into?
Well, a really common one is distinguishing between vowel sounds that can feel quite close together.
Oh, yes.
Think about ship versus sheep. The difference is subtle, right? Just a slight change in your mouth and tongue.
It is subtle.
But it changes the whole meaning. And for speakers whose native language doesn't have that exact distinction, it can be genuinely tricky.
Those vowels can definitely trip you up. Our sources also brought up the habit of dropping sounds off the ends of words,
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
especially when people start speaking faster.
Yeah.
So like the word just trails off.
And that can make it tough for listeners to catch important grammatical bits, like the es for plurals or the ed for past tense.
Right.
Another major point was the teeth sound, as in think or that.
The infamous teeth.
Exactly. It's tough because it requires putting your tongue in a position that just doesn't exist in many other languages.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. The sources mentioned people often swap it out for an S sound or maybe a D sound, depending on the first language.
Precisely. But look, the encouraging thing is these are common challenges. They're known hurdles.
Okay.
And with focused, consistent daily work, you absolutely can improve. It's really about building new muscle memory for your mouth, your tongue, your lips.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's move to the practical stuff. What does a good daily pronunciation routine actually involve? The sources laid out a pretty clear step-by-step plan.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is that it's designed to be manageable, something you can actually stick with. It kicks off with a quick warm-up, just 2 or 3 minutes, tops. The idea is just to loosen up your jaw, tongue, and lips, get them ready to work.
Like a little stretch before exercise.
Exactly. Simple things like moving your jaw around gently, stretching your tongue out, pursing your lips, even saying some tongue twisters slowly can help get things moving.
Okay, a little pre-speech workout. Got it. What's step 2?
After the warm-up, you dedicate about 5 to 10 minutes to what we can call sound focus.
Sound focus.
You pick just one English sound to zoom in on for that day. The authority sound we talked about is a perfect candidate.
Right.
And a really effective technique here is using minimal pairs. These are words that are identical except for that one target sound.
Oh, okay.
Like
Cool.
thin versus sin or then versus den. Focusing on hearing and saying that tiny difference really trains your ear and your mouth to nail the target sound. Understanding these pairs represent different phones, those basic sound units helps too.
Focusing on just one sound definitely feels less daunting than trying to fix everything at once. So after the sound focus, what's next in the routine?
Next up is about 10 minutes of shadowing practice.
Shadowing.
Yeah. You listen to a short audio clip, could be from a podcast like this one, a movie scene, a YouTube video, anything really, and you immediately try to mimic the speaker.
So you repeat right after them.
Exactly. But it's not just about repeating the words. You try to copy their pronunciation, their intonation, the rise and fall of their voice, and the overall rhythm of how they speak. It helps you absorb the natural flow of English.
like being a vocal echo. I can see how that helps with the music of the language, not just the individual sounds. What follows the shadowing?
After shadowing, there's a really crucial 5-minute step. Record yourself.
Ooh, okay. That sounds maybe a little uncomfortable.
It can feel weird at first, definitely, but recording yourself speaking, maybe reading the same passage you shadowed, and then listening back and comparing it to the original audio, it's incredibly revealing.
How so?
You'll likely hear things, small errors or differences in rhythm that you just weren't aware of while you were speaking. It gives you objective feedback.
That makes sense. It's like hearing yourself as others hear you. Powerful. And the last piece of this daily workout.
The final 5 minutes are for reading aloud. Grab something you find interesting, a book, an article, maybe even a script, and read it out loud. But do it with intention. Focus on articulating clearly, maybe even trying to convey some emotion. It helps you practice putting those sounds you've worked on into longer stretches of speech.
You know, what's great about this whole routine warm-up, sound focus, shadowing, recording, reading aloud, it adds up to maybe 20, 30 minutes total.
Exactly.
That feels really doable for most people, even with busy schedules.
Totally. And all the research points to consistency being way more important than intensity for language learning, especially pronunciation.
Right.
It's not about being perfect tomorrow. It's about those small, steady improvements day after day.
So consistency is key.
Yeah.
Now, are there any specific tools or, resources that can help with this daily practice? Our sources mentioned a few good ones.
Oh, definitely. Technology offers some really helpful aids. There's an app called ALS Speak.
ELSC Speak.
It uses AI to listen to your pronunciation and give you instant feedback, pointing out specific sounds you need to work on and giving you exercises.
Instant feedback sounds useful.
Very. Then there's Youglish. It's a website. You type in an English word or phrase,
Yeah.
and it shows you tons of short video clips from YouTube where real people are saying that exact word or phrase in context.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing for hearing how things actually sound in real conversations with different accents, too.
Exactly. And speaking of accents, another great site is Forvo.
Forvo.
Forvo. It's like an audio dictionary where native speakers from all over record themselves saying words and phrases. Great for hearing variations.
Okay, cool.
And of course, you can't forget YouTube itself. There are countless channels dedicated just to English pronunciation, covering everything imaginable.
So plenty of digital help out there. What about actual interaction? The sources mentioned speaking with native speakers.
Yeah, connecting with native speakers is definitely valuable. Using language exchange apps like Tandem or HelloTalk is great for building general fluency and getting comfortable with real-time conversation.
Right. Practicing actually talking.
Absolutely. But, and this is an important but, from the sources, those casual chats shouldn't completely replace your dedicated pronunciation work.
Ah, I see. So conversation is good, but it's not the same as focused practice.
Precisely. The specific exercises, like the minimal pairs or the shadowing, are where you really drill down and make targeted improvements to your articulation, fixing those ingrained habits. Casual chat might not give you that specific feedback or repetition.
Got it. They work together then. Conversation for fluency, dedicated practice for precision.
That's a great way to put it. That focused effort is what helps build the muscle memory for those tricky new sounds.
Okay, makes sense. Now, sticking with any daily routine can be tough. Motivation can dip, right?
Oh, for sure.
What did our sources suggest for keeping that momentum going with pronunciation practice over the long haul?
They had some really solid practical tips. One big one was actively tracking your progress.
How would you do that?
Well, you could keep a simple pronunciation journal, jot down the sounds you're working on, maybe note when you feel like you've had a breakthrough. Or even better, perhaps, keep a video log. Record yourself periodically.
Ah, like saving those recordings you make during practice.
Exactly. Having that record, seeing or hearing the difference over weeks or months can be incredibly motivating.
Yeah, I could see that. What else helps?
Celebrating the small victories. Seriously, when you finally feel like you've nailed a difficult sound or you listen back to a recording and notice a real improvement, take a second to acknowledge it. Pat yourself on the back. It reinforces the effort and keeps you positive.
Good advice.
And also just reminding yourself why you started. What are your personal reasons? Is it for work, for travel, just to feel more confident? Keeping those goals in mind helps fuel the consistency.
Connecting back to the why. That's always powerful. The sources also made a really interesting point about looking back at much older recordings.
Yes, that was a great insight. The idea is, Maybe after a few months, go back and listen to one of your very first recordings and compare it to where you are now. Because progress can be gradual, right? Day to day, you might not feel like you're improving much.
Right, it's slow sometimes.
But hearing the difference between your past self and your current self, that can be a massive confidence boost and really show you tangibly that the practice is working.
It's like concrete evidence of your hard work paying off.
Yeah.
And ultimately, as our sources kept stressing, getting clearer pronunciation, it isn't just about sounding, more native.
Not at all.
It's fundamentally about communicating more effectively, getting your ideas across smoothly, and feeling that boost in self-assurance when you speak.
Couldn't agree more. It is a journey. It takes consistent effort, no doubt. But the payoff, clearer speech, more confidence, it's significant.
So if we boil it all down, the main takeaway really is consistent daily practice, even if it's just those 20-30 minutes, is the absolute best route to making noticeable progress in your English pronunciation.
Yeah, the research we looked at made a really good comparison. Learning pronunciation is a lot like learning a musical instrument or learning to swim.
How so?
They're physical skills. They require practice, repetition, building that muscle memory over time. You can't just read about swimming and expect to jump in the pool and do it perfectly.
That's a great analogy. You have to actually do it.
You have to do it consistently.
So our encouragement to you is just start. Try incorporating even one or two parts of that daily routine we talked about. Start small, stay consistent, and you will start to hear a difference.
Absolutely. And here's something to maybe think about as you work on this. How might communicating more clearly, feeling more confident when you speak English, open up new doors for you, new opportunities, new connections, maybe things you haven't even considered yet? That's quite an exciting thought, isn't it?